Hello, and welcome to the SurveyMethods.com video tutorial on the SurveyMethods Custom Report Builder. In this video, we're going to show you how to use this powerful tool to build custom templates and reports, allowing you to conduct detailed analysis and build reports in minutes that used to take days. Over here, we've got a sample report from our Acme Customer Satisfaction Survey that I built with the Custom Report Builder. I'm going to walk you through how to build a report like this and also talk through the different options you have in the module. The idea of the Custom Report Builder is that you can build a final report right in the application, or you can build template reports that can be run as often as needed and will update with the latest survey results. For example, we can run this same report in 1 month and it will automatically be updated for the latest survey results ready to export. To build this report, we're going to be using the survey that we created in our previous demo videos. In those videos, we've walked you through how to create a customer satisfaction survey in SurveyMethods, how to add page logic and survey quotas, how to adjust your survey and account settings, and how to launch your survey by email or web link. You can find all of those videos and more on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/surveymethods. We'll also include links in the description for this video. Now that our customer satisfaction survey has been live for a few weeks, we've been able to collect over 40 responses, so we're ready to begin analyzing our survey. We'll click on the icon next to the response count to take us to the Analyze Survey menu. We're going to cover this menu, including basic reports, the quick report generator, and printing and exporting your results in a separate video. But for now, we'll skip down to the bottom to walk you through the Custom Report Builder. If this is your first time visiting this page on a specific survey, you won't see any reports here. I've previously created a couple of reports, but I want to build a new one from scratch using the 5-step wizard, so I will click on Create Report. On the next page, I will choose Create a new custom report. I will enter my report name and then click Continue. The next page is where we will set the global layout for the report. By default, each question will take up one page in the report, or more if we have comments or other elements that wrap to another page. So what we're doing on this page is setting the default format for each question page in the report. For example, if we insert 2 questions in the report, each will include a heading element and a body element. Across the top, we can drag and drop additional elements. So for example, if we want to add body text below the chart, we can drop that here. We can click the X to delete any element. We can toggle on or off the segment name, which we'll discuss shortly, the question text, the comments, and the data table. On the right side, we can adjust the page and text formatting, including the paper size and orientation, and the default text size and formatting for the heading and body elements. We can always come back and change the default formatting as well as customize the formatting for any specific element at a later time. Here we're just setting the initial report layout. Once I'm happy with my page layout, I can click Continue to go to the next step. Step 3 of the wizard is to choose the questions you want displayed on the report initially. Again, we can add or remove questions as needed once the report is generated. Taking a quick look at the report I previously showed you, I've included what is your gender, what is your current household income, how likely would you be to recommend Acme products to your friends and colleagues, how satisfied are you with the following attributes, and then there's one chart for each attribute as that was a matrix question. Overall, how satisfied are you with Acme products? Which of the following words would you use to describe Acme products? How well do our products meet your needs? And other feedback. I'll actually go ahead and select one extra question, and then I'll remove question 12 just so I can show you how to add and delete elements from the report later. At the bottom, we're given 2 options. Continue to create segments or generate a report without segments. Segments are groups of respondents that you may want to analyze separately or compare to each other. So for example, we may want to compare how males responded to our survey versus females. We can segment respondents in 3 different ways: based on how they responded to the questions in our survey, based on when they completed the survey, For example, this can be useful for analyzing survey results over time, such as looking at responses before and after a certain date. Or we can create segments based on custom fields, which is information we attach to survey respondents as part of an email launch. We cover custom fields in detail in our video on launching your survey, but I'll show you an email list as a quick example. If we launched our survey to this email list, we would store the first name, last name, and region as custom fields in the application. Then, if we want to create a segment for each region, for example, we could use this data to segment the responses. Going back to our report, the first two charts are showing aggregated data, but on the third question, we're comparing how all respondents answered this question with how individuals in different age groups responded. These age groups, 26 to 35, 36 to 45, 46 to 55, and above 55, are each a different segment. We similarly looked at how each segment reviewed the different attributes and overall how satisfied or dissatisfied each segment is. Returning to our wizard, we will continue to create segments. I need to create 4 different segments, one for each age group on my report. I will enter a name for the segment and click Define Segment Criteria. You can also enter a description for the segment for your own reference if you'd like. I will define this segment based on the age question and choose 26 to 35. If you recall, we had page logic that ended the survey for any respondents in the under 18 and 19 to 25 age groups, so there won't be any data for those segments and we can safely ignore them. When I click Add Criteria, it will add the criteria to the segment. You can actually use multiple criteria for any segment. So for example, if we wanted to look at individuals who are 26 to 35 years old and have children, we can click Add More Criteria, select the question, how many children do you have, and include respondents who entered any value greater than 0. When we click Add Criteria, it will combine those. We can always change the and to an or, in which case the segment would include people who are either 26 to 35 or have at least one child. For this report, I want to just have the age group, so I will remove the second criteria and move on to adding another segment. I'll do this for each segment I want to create. Okay, I now have my 4 segments created, so I will click on Continue to go to the final step before my report is created. On this step, we now need to decide which questions display which segments, as well as how we want those segments displayed. This can be a bit confusing the first time you run through it, but don't worry, we can add or remove charts and edit them as needed once the report is created. On the left-hand side, we have each question listed out that we chose on step 3, and then we have a list of the segments that we created. On the right-hand side, we have options to display the data as a crosstab chart or a crosstab table. Let's first look at what happens if we do not select crosstab chart or table. If we select all of the segments on the left side for question 1, leave the crosstabs unchecked, and generate the report, what it's going to do is generate one chart for each segment, starting with all respondents, then each of the segments we created. Depending on your question and how complex the data is, you may want to output a chart for each segment or for any specific segment, and this is how you would do that. Let's return to the wizard and show you what happens if we select each segment and then select crosstab chart and table. A crosstab is going to display the data on one chart or table so that we can easily compare the segments. I will display this chart as percentages and then show you what this looks like on the report. Now, instead of 5 different charts, we have one chart where each segment is a bar, and I chose percentages so it's showing us the percent of total. We can instead change it to show count to show the number of absolute responses in each segment and overall. Returning to the report we're creating, the first 2 charts are showing data for all respondents, and then we have a few questions showing crosstabs, Then, which of the following words would you use to describe our products is shown for all respondents. We have another crosstab chart. And finally, the comments are shown for all respondents. So questions 1, 4, 8, and 14 were showing all respondent data. Question 12 will also be all respondents, but I will show you how to add that one later. For the other questions, we want to show all of the segments, so I will select each one. And then I will choose to display crosstabs as percentages. And then I will select crosstab chart for these questions. I will also include a crosstab table just so you can see what that looks like. When I'm satisfied with the setup, I will click Generate Report. Depending on how many elements you've inserted in the report and how much response data you have, this can take up to a couple minutes to load, so be patient. Our survey doesn't have a lot of data yet, so it's pretty quick. Now let's take a look at what we have. As you can see, the system generated a report using the standard layout that we chose, with one question on each page. Before each question, it inserted a blank heading element and a blank body element. So we have, what is your current age, what is your gender, household income, and then we get into crosstab for how likely would you be to recommend Acme to a friend, a crosstab table down below. Then we have each of the attributes for our matrix question: packaging, ease of use, quality, after-sale service, and price. Finally, crosstabs for questions 11 and 13, and an element for other feedback. Now let's take a look at how we can further customize the report. Let's start by adding a cover page. I will go to page 1 on the left, click the gear icon, and choose Add New Page above. I can drag and drop a heading element to add some text to this page. To edit the text, I need to double-click to select the element, and then click a third time to place my cursor inside. My title is Acme 2020 Customer Satisfaction Survey Review. I can also format this, so I will center it, make sure it's in Arial font, and increase the font size. I want it more in the center of the page, so I will click above it, and you'll see this arrow showing where your cursor is, and I can hit Enter a few times to move the element down the page. Okay, now I will add a body element for the subheader. I'll enter the text and do a little formatting now. Keep in mind that once we're done with this report, we can export it to a Microsoft Word document, so you can take advantage of all the formatting options available in Word at that stage, such as inserting a logo. And I'll show you that later. Let's move on and customize the charts. This first chart actually isn't showing me much, so I've decided I want to delete it. I can delete any element by hovering over it and clicking the red X at the top right. This is still going to leave the blank page here, as that page still has a heading and body text element. I instead want to delete the whole page, so I will click the gear icon on the left for that page and select Delete Page. Keep in mind, you can also hide pages if you want to save it for later, but don't want it to be visible on the current report. Any hidden pages will not be visible and will not be exported or printed with the report, but you can add them back by clicking Unhide. Okay, let's go to the gender chart to customize that one. Rather than displaying the question text in the chart, I want to put it as the header. I will type that here, and I can format it if needed. I also want to add a little bit of commentary in the body text, so I will say, our respondent data thus far has skewed heavily female, since I see that 2/3 of respondents selected female to question 4. Now, looking at the actual chart, we have several different display options. At the top, we have options to toggle the segment name. I don't need to display that, so I will toggle it off by clicking this button. We can also toggle the question text. Again, I have it above, so I will toggle it off. If the question on the survey had a comment box, I can toggle it to display or hide the comments. And then I can choose whether I want the data table to display below. I will also toggle that off since I only care about the percentage. The gear icon to the right has additional display options. On certain charts, I can change the element type. I can change the segment if I'd like to display a different segment. I can choose a chart type, in this case between bubble, horizontal column chart, vertical column chart, a pie chart, or a scattered chart. I think this one looks best as a pie chart, so I'll choose that option. Lastly, we have the chart settings, where we can adjust the data labels, show or hide the legend, and change the theme or the color scheme. If I want to resize the chart, I can click it once to select it, and then drag the circles and the chart will resize. Let's make it smaller so that I can put question 8 on this page as well. I can drag and drop the elements for question 8 to move it onto page 2. Now I will work on formatting the second chart the same way as the first one. I'll add the question text as a title, add some brief commentary, take off the segments, question text, and data table, and then change it to a pie chart. And there we go, 2 charts are ready to go. Now I still have a blank page 3, so I will delete that out. Moving on to the crosstab charts, I have our Net Promoter Score question, which is how likely a respondent would be to recommend your products to a friend or colleague. I will add the question text to the top, and then I'll fill in some commentary in the body. As you can see, I can use bullets and numbering or otherwise format as needed, such as bolding or underlining text. Once I click out of the element, it will reposition the chart below. I will remove the question text, and then taking a look at the settings on a crosstab chart, we can edit the chart, which will allow us to add or remove segments or change the question for the y-axis. We can choose between a stacked column or an area chart, and then chart settings give us the same formatting options. The crosstab table is going to give us the exact same data as the chart, but in numerical format. You can also adjust the segments and data by clicking the gear icon and edit table, and then you have an option to display as counts or to display as % of the column or the row. I don't actually want to display the table, so I will delete it. Moving on to question 10, I'm going to skip over formatting these tables, but I want to show you that it created a separate chart for each attribute that we asked about. I will pull up a quick copy of our survey as a reminder of how this question was asked. So if I scroll to question 10, we see we had a matrix question where the respondent had to rate their satisfaction with each of the 5 attributes, 1 choice per row. Essentially, the way to think about it is each row is a separate question, and as a result, each row is a separate crosstab on our report. Returning to our report, here's packaging, ease of use, quality, after-sales service, and price. Again, I've shown you how to edit these charts, so to save some time, I will not edit them again now. Next is question 11. Overall, how satisfied are you with Acme products? Which is another crosstab report showing how the different age groups rated their satisfaction. And then we get to question 13. How well do our products meet your needs? But it looks like we're missing question 12, which I wanted to have on the report. Let's go ahead and insert a new page before question 13 to add question 12. For question 12, I want to insert a standard bar chart. I will choose question 12 from the dropdown, and then I will drag and drop the element into the report. It will ask me to choose a segment, and in this case I want all respondents. Let me add a heading element by dropping that on the page and entering the question text. Now I will toggle off the segments question text, and data table. We had an other please specify option, so I want to toggle on any comments by clicking the comment bubble. I want to display this chart as counts rather than percentages, so I will click the gear and then choose Chart Settings and change it to Display Totals. I'll click Save, and now this chart is ready. I'll go ahead and skip over formatting question 13 and move to the other feedback question, which was an open-ended text box. All this is showing us right now is there were 7 responses and 100% of those 7 responses including text, which isn't very helpful. Let's delete the current element and instead insert the bar chart and data table element for question 14. We'll use all respondents and click Save to insert the element. This is a little bit cleaner, but it's still not showing the comments themselves, so I need to toggle those on. I don't want to show the data table, the question text, or the segment text, so I'll toggle those off. And now we have a nice, easy to read table of the comments. And that's pretty much it for our report. I'm ready to export it, but before I do, I want to walk you through some other elements and menus. Let's first talk through the elements at the top. New page and page break are pretty straightforward. The header and footer elements can be added to the header and footer respectively if you don't already have one defined. We have a header and footer, but we haven't put in any text in yet, so I will delete the header and I will enter Acme 2020 Customer Service Survey as the footer. And then I will center and bold it. We've previously discussed inserting headings, body, and separator, so I'll skip over those now. To insert a new Crosstab report, you can drag and drop the Crosstab element. You can then set the x-axis based on another question or the segments you defined, and choose what question will be displayed on the y-axis. Finally, choose whether you want a chart, table, or both, and it will be generated. This chart I just inserted will be similar to the age group segments I created, but you'll see there's no data for the first 2 age groups, which is because we had page logic that ended the survey for any respondents in those age groups. I showed you already how to insert a chart element by choosing a question in the dropdown and then dragging it onto the page. The Statistical Measures element is used for questions that have numerical values. In our survey, we only have one, which is the question on how many children do you have. Just to show you how this works, I will choose that question and drop the element onto the page. Again, I can choose a segment and click Save to insert the element. This will show you some summary statistics from that question depending on how the question is defined. You can also toggle on or off the individual responses. Lastly, the question text element is going to allow you to drag and drop the wording of the actual question on the survey without the associated chart or table. At the top left of the report builder, you have a few menus with additional options. In the File menu, we can save the report, export it to Word, change the report title, or exit. We can also save, exit, or log out with the quick buttons on the top right. The Layout menu will allow us to change the global layout options that we set originally, such as the page settings, the heading and body default text formats, and the spacing. You can also add a dashboard page, which will show you the survey response statistics. Lastly, you can choose whether to display or hide the question numbers in the report. The Export menu allows you to export to Word just like from the File menu. The Data Settings menu has 2 options. The first section allows you to adjust global settings, such as toggling on or off displaying comments, question text, data tables, and segment names. It also allows you to change the settings for all charts of a specific type in the report. So, for example, if I want to change the color scheme for all pie charts, I can choose the pie chart and it will take me to the chart settings menu. You can make changes at the top and then choose whether or not to override your previous customizations. Lastly, we can change the global settings for crosstab charts and tables. The second section of the Data Settings menu allows us to filter out the data that is displayed on this report. So, if for example I want to run this exact report, but let's say we ran a special promotion on February 15th, so I want to see what the data looks like since that date, I can create a filter based on when the respondent completed the survey. When I click Exit, the report will regenerate with data filtered to only show those responses. We don't have a lot of data for this time period yet. The final menu allows us to add to, delete, or edit the segments we set up previously. So I can set up 2 new segments for all male respondents and all female respondents. I can then add these segments to existing crosstab charts with the Edit Chart setting. I can also add new crosstab charts with just those or any combination of segments. As you can see, this tool is extremely powerful and allows you to build a highly customized, readily usable report. Now let's see what happens when we export the report. I will click on Export to Word, and it will warn me that exporting with more than 1,500 responses can cause issues if comments are displayed. It's not a problem for us yet, so I'll click OK, and the system will work on generating the report. Again, depending on how much data and how many elements you have, this can take several minutes, so please be patient. Usually the report will download automatically, but on certain browsers you may have to click the download link. Ours is ready down here at the bottom left, so let's open it up. And here you have the report we just created in a formatted Word document. I'll go ahead and add our logo onto the cover page. We can now edit any of the text elements, and these charts are all set up as tables, so we can delete this text if we don't want to display it, for example. And that's it, our report is done. Even better, this report is saved on a survey results page, so as we continue to get additional responses to our survey, we can regenerate the report at the click of a button. We can build as many of these reports as we like and run them as often as we like. So we can have different reports for different segments, we can filter the report for different dates, we can filter the reports for different custom fields, and those will all be ready and can be run at any time. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I hope this helped you understand the power and flexibility of the SurveyMethods Custom Report Builder. I encourage you to watch our other videos to learn how to design and build a survey, add page logic and quotas, manage your settings, launch your survey, and use our basic analysis tools and quick report generator. If you're ready to get started, head over to our website, SurveyMethods.com, and click the green Get Started button at the top right. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us at smsupport@surveymethods.net.